Let's stay with the deadly Hammanskraal water crisis and the cholera outbreak there this morning. Back in 2019, the Human Rights Commission declared that Hammanskraal water was unfit for human consumption, and this followed the sample analysis from the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. So 23 people have so far died from this latest cholera outbreak in Hammanskraal, with the source of the outbreak yet to be established. So let's bring in Buang Jones. He is a former Gauteng manager for the South African Human Rights Commission, and he was in fact part of that team that was investigating water in Hammanskraal in 2019. Buang, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
I mean, the point of that introduction is that this is by no means a new story, and it cannot come as a surprise to officials.
It is not a new story. It has been a public health crisis for 2 decades now. The issues in Hammanskraal, the genesis of this issue is 2004, when the wastewater treatment works started deteriorating. There was vandalism, there was poor maintenance and management of the water infrastructure in Tshwane, which has led to a situation where residents have had to drink substandard potable water.
Yeah. So take us back to, give us a bit of a sort of history lesson. 2004, it emerges as the wastewater treatment plant sort of malfunctions, there's not maintenance happening, and it emerges that the water is not safe to drink. What happens from then on?
What happens from then on, the water regulator, that is the Department of Water and Sanitation, issues pre-directives, issues compliance notices, and nothing happens. In 2011, there's a call to declare Hammanskraal a national disaster. It is not declared as such. A new administration takes over in the city of Tshwane in 2016. The challenges of water and sanitation continue, and the commission, upon receiving a complaint from the Hammanskraal Residents Forum, then embarked on an investigation which culminated in an inquiry in which the commission made findings against the city and upheld the complaints of violations to Section 24 and Section 27 of the South African Constitution.
Yeah, yeah. And yet here we are. Investigations later, inquiries later, residents still having to battle with substandard water. I mean, the advice that they were getting 2 weeks ago from the Department of Water and Sanitation is don't drink the water, and if you have to drink the water, add some bleach to it, boil it if you can.
Yeah. No, we are still here. People in Hammanskraal have been deprived of living a life of dignity. Water plays an important role in realizing other human rights. And over the last 20 years, the people of Hammanskraal have had to live with this situation. And we want authorities to remove politics out of this. We've requested, during my time at the Commission, we requested the national government to intervene, to take over the functions of the Water and Sanitation Division of the city of Tshwane in terms of Section 63 and Section 139 of the Constitution. And this has not happened. We further asked them to declare the Hammanskraal water situation a national disaster. This has not happened. We further issued a directive that the Department of Water and Sanitation should create a national water care entity because municipalities have failed over the years in maintaining water infrastructure across the country. And their role as a water services authority has seen communities not getting a regular water supply or getting supply of substandard potable water. And we have not seen the water regulator doing much. But in the city of Tshwane, the Water and Sanitation Department took the city to court. There's been several engagements. Alternative dispute resolution mechanisms were employed to find a lasting solution. Parliament Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation also embarked on a visit, but nothing has changed. There are still issues of budget. There are still issues of poor human resources, issues of vandalism, and there doesn't seem to be a cohesive effort on the part of the three spheres of government to find a lasting solution.
It's a governance failure, right? Because while we're checking all of the right boxes, yes, Parliament has gone there. They've done oversight visits. The Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation have gone there. They've done that. Yeah. But nothing comes of it. National government, provincial government oversight completely ineffectual. Essentially, when you come down to it, Buang, this is a governance failure.
It is a governance failure. It is a catastrophe. It is a human rights crisis, which requires a national intervention. Lives have been lost, and I don't know what more needs to happen for the national government to intervene, for the city of Tshwane to take responsibility to ensure that they secure the rights of the residents of Hammanskraal. The city was forewarned that something like this would happen. People will lose their lives, and they will be faced with class action lawsuits, something which could happen in the next few days.
The EFF itself has said it will lay charges of murder, effectively, against the city of Tshwane. And as you say, given all of the warnings that have happened, that is not an impossibility, right? It's completely plausible that this is a class action waiting to happen.
It is plausible. The Commission further called for criminal prosecution of city managers who were in place at the time when this disaster started, and we have not seen any criminal prosecution. The NPA has not acted. The police have not apprehended any city manager because they carry the overall responsibility of ensuring that the municipality discharges its constitutional mandate in terms of Section 152 of the Constitution.
Well, on that note, let me pass you a bottle of water across the table.
Thank you.
Buang, let's not forget where we've come from as well. We've just come out of the COVID-19 crisis.
Yes.
And we know that at the time, and it continues to be the case now, even with the cholera outbreak, the advisory from government during the height of COVID-19 was those non-pharmaceutical interventions, right? Wash your hands. I mean, how did the residents of Hammanskraal even manage to get through the COVID-19 crisis in the midst of a water crisis?
It's a miracle. I remember we held a community meeting in 2019, and already at the time the water was contaminated, and there were a number of concerns raised by residents. We even called for awareness campaigns to be carried or led by the Department of Health in the province. And I'm not sure if the government has done enough to amplify awareness around hygiene, around people living in sanitary environments and people washing their hands. So we really need a broader effort on the part of the three spheres of government to ensure that they protect the rights of the people of Hammanskraal.
Yeah. In the midst of all of this, we know that money has already been paid insofar as trying to address the water crisis is concerned. That consortium that Edwin Sodi is involved with, getting some 300 million rand, and the crisis continues. Insofar as corruption is concerned around this crisis, that's going to be the next issue, right? Or rather, the next issue that we focus on. It's also not a new issue, because it's in the interests of particular spheres of service providers, in this case, those who provide water tankers, for this to not be sorted out.
Yes. The Minister of Water and Sanitation in September 2022 also lamented corruption linked to water tankering services. So it has become an opportunity for those who want to benefit from the government tender system. The situation as it is beneficial to them. And we hope that there will be an independent inquiry by the city of Tshwane to look into the service providers who are benefiting from the water tanker system. There are allegations that there are some councillors who are benefiting from this. There's also allegations that the recent cholera outbreak is due to some of the service providers who decided to supply water that was abstracted from the Apis River, where untreated sewage has over the years been discharged. So there is a need for a probe by the police, by the city, by the water regulator, to look into all these allegations.
So the water that's the clean water, the so-called clean water that's meant to be provided by these water tankers, may well be the source of this outbreak in a context where we know those investigations are still ongoing.
Yes. So at the moment, these are allegations. Yeah. There are people who want to blow the whistle, but obviously they fear for their lives. And we hope that authorities will guarantee their safety, and we implore them to come forward with this information, which will assist authorities to investigate the source of this contamination, because we don't want another outbreak.
Yeah. I mean, in the midst of all of this, you've given us all the facts this morning, Buang, but in the midst of all of it, residents are living in fear. Funerals are taking place now for loved ones who are being laid to rest from a disease that is preventable, that is treatable. It's a heartbreaking situation.
It is a preventable disease, and research shows that human sewage can spawn other diseases like hepatitis and cholera.
Yeah.
It is indeed preventable. We just hope that the authorities will improve the management of the water infrastructure in Tshwane, and that there will be a national intervention, because it is needed. The South African Human Rights Commission must also play its role in ensuring that it enforces compliance with its own directives and findings. Because to date, the city of Tshwane, the water regulator, has not implemented any of the findings of the South African Human Rights Commission, and the Commission is enjoined to secure appropriate redress, and they have an opportunity now to secure appropriate redress for victims of this cholera outbreak.
Well, you were the former Gauteng manager for the Human Rights Commission, in a context where those measures that were sort of put on the table by the Human Rights Commission previously, over many, many years, if they're not adhered to, what would be the next step by the Human Rights Commission?
Well, the next step would be for the South African Human Rights Commission to issue subpoena notices, to call on the accounting officers, the MEC, the minister, the mayor, to come and account and explain what has happened.
And that hasn't happened?
And that hasn't happened.
All right. Buang Jones, let me thank you for your time this morning. Former Gauteng manager for the South African Human Rights Commission, as we continue to track what is certainly one of the big stories on our news agenda, the ongoing cholera outbreak in Hammanskraal.